What's going on, guys? Dumber Orange 927 here, and here today, guys, I am on another video. So yeah, today's relatively a topic I've been wanting to talk about, and just after talking to my friends and stuff. So the question here remains, a question that I struggle to answer a lot: is Halo dead? Or is it dying? And if it is, why is it dying? And after considerable thought, I don't think Halo is dead, but it is dying. It is in a position now where it's not in a good shape. We've had 3 games in the Halo franchise that have now disappointed us. We had Halo 4, Halo Master Chief Collection, and now Halo 5. And, it's kind of just sad that we are now just not doing that well. So, Halo is dying. And, as you know, Halo 5 was a huge disappointment. So why is Halo dying? That's the thing. Why is Halo dying? Well, I'll work my way from the minor reasons to the major reasons. Number 1, 343 does not know how to listen. The fact of the matter is they listen to some things, but they don't for others. The reason... Okay. Sorry, guys, I have slightly a stuffed up throat because my allergies have been acting up real bad today. So yeah. Okay. So 343 doesn't listen that well. And in that sense, it's that they don't know how to, they don't know what we're asking out stuff. Like, they don't know why we're saying the things we're saying. Like, think of Halo 4, for example. Halo 4 was a game we said we didn't like loadouts and ordnance and stuff. Okay, yes, we were angry that it was a COD ripoff, but we were more angry at the fact that because of all that, it didn't feel like a Halo game. Well, okay, 343 did what we said. They got rid of the loadouts and ordnance, but they added other things that didn't really solve our problem. Don't get me wrong, the abilities aren't terrible, but they don't make the game feel like Halo. And that's the reason why people complain about them. It's not because they are bad in their own right, it's just they don't make the game feel like Halo. And that leads to my second thing. They aren't understanding what makes Halo feel like Halo. Halo is a game that is meant to be simplistic. It is not meant to have all this advanced tech and like all this jumping around, thrusting everywhere, all this. When it was just sprint, I was fine. Okay, I was okay when it was just sprint. I know sprint is not a very popular thing in the Halo series, but I think personally, if it is done right, that, like, for example, Halo Reach, Sprint, then I think it overall doesn't mess it up. Reach's map sucked because the fact that it was ripped off from its campaign. It wasn't because Sprint forced them to expand and stuff. And even then, Reach's map sucking is just an opinion. I like a lot of them. But the fact of the matter is, despite my personal opinions, is that when it was just sprint, it was fine. But then they moved on to adding the armor abilities with sprint, and now you have all these spawn abilities, which just cause these high mobility techs. It's... Like I said, it's not because it's bad in its own right. It's like, if you consider this not a Halo set, then it's overall a really fun game. But we're not talking about the game we got. We're talking about a Halo game. Okay, and I want to get all the way now. The game does not feel like Halo. It doesn't play like traditional Halo. And the mechanics aren't traditional Halo in any means. And to be honest, if you reskinned a lot of the assets, if you reskin the game and got rid of some of the assets of it, I think not too many people would even accuse it of copying traditional Halo. It's that different. Now, in defense to Halo 5's credit, because people will keep mentioning this, and they just don't get it, okay? Just because a game does not feel like the franchise that it is meant to be, does not automatically mean it feels like something else. People want to compare this game to COD or Destiny, but it plays nothing like Call of Duty. Okay, and to be honest, it is its own unique experience, okay? And its formula and sense is not going to be recaptured from any other game. Not COD, not Destiny, not Battlefield, heck, not even other Halos. It is used its own unique set of formula. But that is partially the problem. We aren't asking for a unique new experience out of this title because we can get that out of other games. We want a Halo game. We want a game that feels like Halo. And like I said, when it's just sprint, I'm okay. In some areas, do these abilities have their place? Sure, okay? Like, easily, I'd probably say, I don't know. Like, maybe in some areas, they have their uses. But in others, they are just departing Halo from what made it such a great franchise. Think of the days back in Halo 3. They didn't make mechanics that, made it unsimple. They made things that added to the gameplay, that added to the experience in the long run. For such examples are vehicle hijacking, dual wielding, replacing the shield and health bar with just the shields, adding in some things such as equipment. All of these were stuff that kept Halo simple, but were still able to add to it. It was a beautiful formula. In the original Halos is where Halo thrived. Halo 1 set up the groundbreak for what Halo was. It was a fun single-player experience with a terrific multiplayer on LAN. Halo 2 set up the foundation of what future games would become with online multiplayer. Yes, there were online multiplayer shooters before Halo 2, but Halo 2 is the one that made online multiplayer on Xbox popular. Halo 2 was a very fine game, and honestly, was, ahead of its time. And Halo 3, which I consider to be the greatest of the three, having improvements to its multiplayer, having a nice, thrilling single-player campaign, and, of course, the addition of a very high-optioned custom game and the brand new Forge and Theater mode. These modes were hugely inspired in other games, two other games. You see Call of Duty now introducing theater modes and stuff, and I personally believe every first-person shooter should now implement it, because it's a very big thing, and it's not because it's copying another shooter, though I give that shooter the credit. It's because it's just a good system. Having theater mode only adds to the game. It's not changing anything, it's just adding. And that's the idea. That's what Halo was. It was a game that didn't change, but it added. Every game, it didn't just feel unique. Each experience, at least for the majority of the Halo fans, each Halo game from 1 to 3 was an improvement from the other. And then, okay, now we've come to Halo's, probably their first minor screw-up, Reach. Now, Reach, personally, I love. like the rest of the series. You know, it had great content. It was fun, and overall, it innovated like the other games in this series. You know, it made Forge a lot better. It changed Firefight from a little survival mode in ODST to a big, playground of fun. And obviously, they made Infection matchmaking, they had campaign matchmaking, and they added stuff like Invasion and had all the community mods and such. The game was fun for those reasons. But Reach's flaws came from the gameplay itself. Bloom was terrible. We can all agree that the armor abilities were insanely unbalanced. It just wasn't meant for Halo. And the problem was, after Reach, it all started going downhill from there. Because like, Reach was fine. Okay, I was willing to forgive Reach for, some of the shortcomings, because many Halo fans, like myself, in a particular sense, were, well, not like myself, because I wasn't too big as a Halo fan at the time, but if I was, my thought process would be, okay, Reach tried to experiment with things. Some things didn't work. Take the things that did work, put that in the next Halo, and go back to a more, go back to more of a traditional Halo formula. But when 343 came around and realized that feedback, they didn't do what we say. Instead, they continued the direction Reach implemented and added things such as loadouts, custom loadouts, ordnance drops, and etc. The game was anti-synergy, and it overall turned into nothing more but a Call of Duty space clone. And I hate mentioning Call of Duty in these videos. I really do. But the inspirations were so clear. It really wasn't even a matter of question of where it was from. So, yeah, and now we're at Halo 5. And yes, is Halo 5 going back to somewhat of a more traditional Halo style? Can you see 343's at least trying to make it feel more like Halo? Yes. But they're still doing things that are really bad decisions. And the fact of the matter is that with these abilities, with now Smart Scope, which is basically ADS, I don't feel like I'm playing a Halo game. Maybe in the art style, the sound, the look, heck, maybe even the course, but Halo right now is only Halo because, to be honest, Halo is only Halo because of its name. It's not really Halo in spirit anymore. And good evolution can exist. Story evolution is nice. And there were many things that existed. However, Halo has not changed in the right areas. Instead, 343 has continued to change Halo from a traditional formula to something different. And it's not meant to be that. So the first reason why Halo is dying is because, well, in a logical sense, it doesn't even feel like Halo anymore. Alright? So that is the first reason. Now, next reason. The severity of lack of content. The game is lacking key features that should have been included in the game. For gosh sakes, Halo 4 had more. Halo 4 still has more content. Freaking Halo 4. A 360 game. Okay? Like, Halo 4 had more content. Halo Reach had more content. Even Halo 3 had more content. Okay? It's just dumb. Well, all that. So, that's like a big reason in its own right. And to talk about it more, it's just Halo 5 needed more content at the launch. Where's Griffball? Where's Oddball? Where's Assault? Where's Infection? Where are these modes? Where are the modes from Halo Reach, Invasion, Firefight, etc.? Where were these modes? Like, the game is just severity and lack of content. There's literally not much that you're gonna want to come back to this game for. You know, that's the first problem with it. So, that is like another big reason. Lack of content. There's not enough for people to keep playing the game. You know, that'd be like saying you order, like, you know, because a customer isn't going to buy into that. Think of it. It'd be like it would be like you buying a pizza, okay? You buy a full pizza, you know, full 8 slices and stuff. And the guy comes at the door and only gives you 1 slice. And says, oh, the rest isn't ready yet. We'll get you more soon. And then the next month they give you another pizza. And another pizza. And another pizza. By then, you would probably order pizza from a different restaurant. Which in the analogy of Halo, by the time they get the full content to you, you're already on another game. That is the mentality. So that is the first part that's leading to Halo's decline. So here's, you know, thanks to its lack of content, people don't have much reason to play it. Heck, even I haven't been playing it that much. Okay? I will be honest. I have spent more of my time when I'm on the games on Battlefront than Halo 5. And that's just because, yes, okay, Battlefront doesn't have much content either, but I'm hoping at least by beating Battlefront, that will buy me enough time for Halo 5 to grow as a game and make me enjoy it more. Because I have to. If I continued the game as it was, I'd get bored. I'd have no sense in playing it. You know, I don't want to end up being one of those guys who just moves on to another game. But you know, I can't keep playing this game with it and keep lying to myself that I fully enjoy it. Because honestly, the game is fun, but it doesn't have enough content. It doesn't have enough to keep me playing. You know, so that is the next symptom that is leading to Halo's death. Now, here comes the third one. And this one is going to be a fun one. Really, it is. The rec system. Never in my life have I seen such a system that has been some of the cheapest ways to make money. It is just ridiculous what this thing. It is dumb the way the armor system is so random. And it's not because of what it is, it's what it isn't. You know, I don't care that it's microtransaction stuff. Companies are trying to make money. I have nothing against that. But they are causing the game to be downgraded. It's not because of what the rec system is, it's what it isn't. It isn't a satisfying way to level up. It isn't a goal, and it's not a goal that, you know, motivates you to keep playing. It is not something that binds the community well together. All the rec system is a call for grinding. And it's random. It's nothing that you can really earn. You have no reputation in the game. Because the reason that Halo used to have been so great with the armor was that there was reputation behind it. You know, Halo 3 had it where, you know, like had certain achievements that you did that would cause you to unlock such armor. It was a reflection of who you were, which was so great. And Reach with its credit system. Now, I'm aware the credit system did cause it where it was more about the time you spent with the game. But at least it had some sense of value. At least it had something that no other Halo did, which was kind of like being conservative. It's like, did I want this sick helmet? Or this nice looking visor. You know, you couldn't have everything. So you had to kind of manage. That's what made Reaches so fun. And overall, what made it even greater was all that. And Halo 4, yes. But, and, you know, it kind of just went downhill because Reach and 3 did it great. But then 4 came along. And 4 was okay. You know, it just had it where the minute you reach the required rank, you unlock the armor. You know, but not much to it. You know, but at least it was something you could earn. At least it was something saying, hey, I earned it because I got to this rank. You know, but Halo 5 is even worse because Halo 5 has none of that. So it's not because the rank system of what it is, it's what it isn't. It isn't a satisfying way to unlock stuff. It isn't an incentive way of role to continue playing the game. And that is another reason why people have stopped playing Halo 5 and have abandoned the franchise altogether. Next up, which is the second to last thing, I promise, the campaign. How can a campaign only be 4 hours? 6 hours? Whatever the length is. How could they get away with that? How could they get away with a deceiving marketing that made us get so excited for the story, yet it crushed us? Believe me, guys, I was just as excited for the story. And the story was probably the very first thing that disappointed me about this game. Ever since I beat the first level, I knew something wasn't right. I knew, wait, that was odd. You know, and yes, I wasn't angry because I kind of foresaw some of the events. But as the game progressed, I just got more and more disappointed. And then by the time I reached the game's conclusion, I was completely let down. And it wasn't one of those things that I was satisfied to begin with and, you know, gradually over time kind of went critical for. Kind of like how I was with Halo 4 a little bit. Not by its story, but just the campaign itself. You know, I was disappointed from the moment it ended. My reaction was, that was it? That's my reaction when the game ended. Not, oh my gosh, that game was so fun and great. It had such a cool story. I'm looking forward to Halo 6. That was it? Wait, and this happened? That happened? What? That was my reaction with the game. And it's because of that I was, like, I'm disappointed. I was disappointed the way the game turned out. I thought the game would have done right. I thought it was the game that would finally redeem Halo. At least in the single player, but it wasn't. And in fact, Halo 5 easily, it may not be the worst Halo campaign I ever played, but it's easily the most disappointing one I have ever played. So that is the next contribution. And now, obviously, before I get to my last point, a few honorable mentions. No firefight. No mods. No, lack of lack of weapons and vehicles from the past games. And stupid boss battles and stuff. Few honorable mentions. Now, gosh, my voice is getting so dry right now. So I'm gonna have to make this quick. Okay, last but not least, and this is the one that I had to discuss the most. And it's something that can't be fixed unless if 343 wants to. Passion. You know, I can tell when a game is made with passion. You know, I can tell the difference when a game is made out of passion versus just making money. Halo 1 through 3, I saw passion. Halo Reach, I saw passion. Even Halo 4, which was a screw up, I saw passion. Because even Halo 4, it screwed up, yes, but 343 tried to listen to us as much as possible. They did everything they could to get rid of certain things and to, help us. You do know 343 tried to get rid of, add descoping and stuff. They just couldn't because the game design wouldn't allow them to and stuff. But from Halos 1 through 4, I saw passion. MCC even, I saw a tiny bit of passion. Just because I knew that, yes, it was a very, very cheap move to not warn us about this failed launch and to exaggerate it. Yes, but I was more willing to blame Microsoft for it because Microsoft did push a deadline that 343 did warn them it wasn't ready. Okay, that's on you, Microsoft. But Halo 5, I do not sense passion. They tried to make me think they were making this game out of passion. They're not. When I played Halo 5, after a while, all I saw was a cash grab. I saw a game that was just meant to be played to make extra money. And the rec system is proof of that. The way the game works, like with this so-called free DLC, which in reality is just content that should have been in the game at launch. That's what caused me to realize that Halo is dying. It wasn't that some of these things screwed up, because I've seen games that have screwed up but have gone better over time. I have seen games that have done that. Okay? I really have. But I just I don't feel passion anymore. I don't feel like 343 was making this game to say, hey, let's try and make an awesome Halo game. No, I thought they just said, oh, let's just make something that's fun to play so we can get a few bucks. That's what I saw. That's all I saw out of this game. And are they getting better now? Yes, but ask yourself this. Is it too little, too late? And in my view, yes. Halo 5 is a game where the population has already declined. The game has already reached lower population than the majority of the new titles from last year and this year. It is not holding up well, and it's only a matter of time before it gets out of the top 10 list, if it hasn't so already. All I can hope is that 343 takes the criticisms that people give to this game and actually give us the Halo game that I want. And I have faith. I am hoping to myself that one day the Halo game that will revive the franchise and bring it back to its former glory and stuff, I have to have hope that that game will one day come. But as for today, as for Halo 5 unfortunately is not that game. And yes, I explained in my review. Was I wrong to expect that? Yes. But that doesn't mean I'm going to excuse them for the shortcomings that they made. Because they should have made the Halo game that would revive this franchise. Or at the very least cause it to begin to heal. The most Halo 5 hasn't even stopped the bleeding of this franchise. It has not. This game has caused Halo deep down to be a shadow of its former self. Yes, do I enjoy this game more than Halo 4? Yes. Heck yes. Halo 4 can, it can leave my life. But, that being said, Halo 4 may have been less of a Halo game by feel, but it was more of a Halo game by heart. It was more of a game that was willing to have passion and creativity. And did we as fans agree with all the decisions made with Halo 4? No, we didn't. But we at least acknowledge that 343 gave it a good try. That they gave their all. Halo 5 is not that game. Halo 5, in my view, is routed out in nothing more but laziness. Like, they keep feeding us lies that they want to make Halo, like, better, and oh, we want to keep evolving the franchise. No! We don't want a Halo game that keeps evolving this franchise. They keep saying, oh, the franchise that redefined gaming just redefined itself. We don't want it to redefine itself. All we want is a Halo game. That's all we want. We want a Halo game. A game that is fun to play. A game that is enjoyable to the community and feels like Halo and has the community and the passion. Where were the days of Halo 3 and Reach, where all the custom game nights occurred, all the clans, all the machinimas, all the fun, all the joy, all the greatness, and all the light? You know, you see games that are just about running around shooting people and getting shot at and stuff. Halo was more than that. Halo was a game where it took passions of everything and combined them into one. Story, gameplay, fun, action, adventure, community, building, filmmaking, etc. Halo at its time in Halo 2, 3, and Reach, it was almost a complete experience versus just being a single game. You know, in Halo Reach, when I was on it, yes, it had flaws, but it was a great game, and I could spend hundreds of hours on immersing myself in its universe. That's why I loved Reach. That's why I believe Halo Reach stacked up well compared to the original Halo, because it was a great Halo game. Halo 4 was not a great Halo game, but Halo 4 also at least tried. It tried to be a great Halo game. And did it succeed? No. But it tried. But I just don't see it out of this game. 343. If you truly care about your Halo fans, if you truly want Halo to thrive and go back to being... If you truly love Halo like you claim you do, then you will stop giving in to the greed, to the laziness, and to the casuals, and start listening to the people who stood by you in the whole journey. And that is the Halo fans. The fans that stood together in order to help save this franchise. The people who are willing to criticize this franchise. The people who are willing to complain and to criticize not because they hate it, but because they want it to be better. Because they want the game to be the Halo game that we all want in the end. Even if you enjoy Halo 5, you have to admit there can be more. And that's what we want. We want more. We want more out of this franchise, because that is what makes Halo a great franchise. It's not that Halo is a game that just does the bare minimum to get a $60 price tag. It's because Halo did more. It's because it gradually grew as a franchise. It's because the game tried to be more. It tried to grow. It tried to not evolve, but rather to grow up, to gradually begin as a baby to a child and then to an adult. That's what Halo 1 through Reach did. They grew, and Reach took a wrong step. But it still had passion behind what it was doing. It just didn't go out that well. Same goes to, some of the other times Halo has not done the best. But this is why I stand in this video, it's not because I hate Halo. It's quite the opposite. It's because I love this franchise. And I want it to be powerful again. I want it to be a franchise that people will start talking about again. A franchise that caused people to enjoy themselves. You know, I wanted to go back to the days when Halo was big. Back in the days when it began on the console. When it began at the time to set up the groundwork for something big. And then grow over time. When the game tried to be more than what it was. I remember when, you know, at school when I was younger, like, I've seen from my neighbor's brother that at his school, people were constantly talking about Halo 3 when it was out. Because it wasn't just a great game, but it was a game ahead of its time. People said you had to own Halo 3 if you owned an Xbox. That's how great it was. You know, that's what caused Halo to be so great. It was a game that grew. It was a game that wasn't trying to change what it was. It was a game that tried to be greater. It was a game that, you know, at the time, it wasn't, oh, what are they gonna screw up this time? It was a game of, what are they gonna add in this time? What are they gonna bring in that's gonna be so awesome and cool? Halo 2, it was online multiplayer. There were all the clans and all that. Halo 3, it was custom games of Forge. Halo Reach, it was Firefight, Invasion, Griffball, etc. I could just go on with this. And that's just because Halo was great for those reasons. And we don't have to end it in the past. Halo can be great again. But only if we as fans are willing to cry out. And not out of hate, not out of spite, but out of love. Love for the franchise that we have grew up loving. Halo is not dead, but it is in the path of dying. But it's not too late. We can stop it. Because 343, they will listen to us if we make them. If we cry out, if we even attack with our wallets, we will succeed. And the only way from now on Microsoft will get my wallet is if they make the Halo game that we as fans want. Halo isn't over. I think it's just getting started. This is Dumber Orange 927. If you support the cause, leave a like and post in the comments your thoughts. But I'll see you next time. This is Dumber Orange 927 and peace out.